Let me talk to the men out there listening real quick. Guys, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances? Hey, low libido, ask your girlfriend or wife. She'll let you know if you're suffering from that or not. That's sex drive. If you'll text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550, Men's Health of Mississippi and the Clay Edwards Show are going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. They're located in Madison, Mississippi at 120 Fountains Boulevard. You can check them out online, menshealthms.com. But one more time, text my name, all caps, Clay, to 601-327-8550 and get your free testosterone screening scheduled today. Enjoy the rest of this show. Boom, shaka, laka, boom. Not even the power out could keep us from bringing you a post-debate wrap-up show here on the Clay Edwards Show with my special guest, Shaun Yurtkuran. We're an hour late, 2 hours late, actually.
Yeah, 2 hours.
But, hey, better late than never. I just want to let everybody know this was not anything of us or the radio station's doing. There was a power equipment failure out here in Flora. Shout out to Entergy for getting it knocked out so quick. We appreciate them. Some cool linemen back there behind the studio doing some work. So, again, hey, when equipment fails, it is what it is. It's out of everybody's control. But we're here. No commercial breaks for the next hour. I will be plugging some of our great sponsors. And to start real quick, shout out to Hunter and the team at Guns and Gear. They got a big weekend planned for you guys. Get out there, buy a gun, ammo, whatever. Get ready. After last night, there's no telling what the future may hold here in America. Shaun and I have had a couple hours out on the patio discussing that very thing. And we're going to bring it to air now. As y'all know, last night was the debate. If y'all want to chime in, your thoughts, opinions, we got one straight hour, and then we're going to be handing the baton off to Jameson Haygood. So, and also we appreciate Chris Davis. We kind of hijacked his hour here. So Chris's music show will be postponed. But, again, we appreciate him for allowing us to do this. Appreciate Matt, the owner, for working so diligently while out of town to help make this 1 hour extravaganza a reality. And with that said, Shaun Yurtkuran. Last night, we watched history.
Yeah, we did. We saw something. It was something. It was certainly something.
As we're talking here, guys, literally the power just came back on. The internet's just coming back up. I'm pulling up my notes and all of our stuff now that we wanted to kind of play. So if we sound a little caught off guard, we are.
Well, I'll just I got something pulled up here. Luckily, I'm bumping off my phone on my iPad. But if anybody wants to do something fun, go Google debate op-eds, and you can look at the headlines, which is really interesting. Like one of them here is from the New York Times is Joe Biden is a good man. He must now bow out of the race. Opinion, another one. I'm hearing high anxiety from Democrats over Biden's debate performance. Joe must go. That's Washington Post. It's a consensus pretty much right now.
I think Cenk Uygur, am I saying his name right?
Cenk, yeah.
Cenk from the Young Turks. Mm. I think his reaction right here says it all.
It did, yeah.
Let's almost cut it song. We're going to play Cenk's reaction here.
And the whole time the split screen is killing Biden.
Yep.
Because he's got his mouth open, he looks confused, doesn't know where he is. He's lost his train of thought at least twice in like disastrous shape. Those are going to be played 1 billion times in viral video after viral video. This is an epic disaster. I see people online saying, well, okay, that answer wasn't so bad. No, it doesn't. Any particular answer doesn't matter at all. This thing is over. He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life. And so there's no person that has a single brain cell left in their head who thinks that Joe Biden is the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. You would have to be even crazier than Donald Trump to think that. This thing is over. I'll guarantee you this. I would bet show me a Democratic politician and I will bet them any amount of money that Joe Biden's going to lose this election if he's the candidate. It's a guaranteed loss. You're telling me this is the most important election of our lifetimes? You're telling me that democracy's on the line and you're going to put on a guy who can't even talk? who can't even sit there and look normal. This thing's a bloodbath. He's going to get annihilated. That is.
All right, we don't have to play all of it.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if there's any cuss words. He usually cusses a lot because it's an internet show. That is the front face of the Democrat Party. That is like the Young Turks are one of their approved outlets. I mean, they're on YouTube TV, not just YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, he's I would say he's probably further left, right?
Yeah.
When you think, I mean,
he's somewhere between traditional and progressive.
Yeah, but he's not a total progressive, total traditional, right? Yeah.
Like he's got his. But my point being, that is one of your flag bearers.
Yeah.
Saying these words, and that was just one of many. We got tons of clips from CNN people.
Those were the most amazing.
I would have never watched that, but because I actually watched the Fox News not stream, but the Fox News simulcast of it because I just refused to cut it on CNN. Call me old-fashioned.
Yeah.
And I don't like Fox News either, but neither here nor there. You said you got to put it on CNN and listen to the meltdown. Dude, I couldn't go to sleep. I sat there, I drank like 2 extra beers after the debate watching this absolute rats jumping off the Titanic.
The most amazing thing about this, why I texted you, I was like, right when the debate cut off, it goes straight to John. I was watching it on CNN. Goes straight to John King, who I actually like a lot. I think he's kind of just an analyst. He doesn't really do a whole lot of commentary. And he said, the first words were, "Oh my God." Oh my God. And then he said, Democrats have to now be thinking about how to replace Joe Biden, or he needs to step aside. That was the first sentence out of his mouth. And just kind of, as you watched, just kind of, snowball from there.
I thought Van Jones spoke volumes, and I'm not a Van Jones fan, but he had hinted around prior in the opening, the pregame show, that this was a sink or swim moment for Biden and him being the candidate.
Yeah.
Not just being electable, but him being the candidate. And I mean, bro, they went straight to. It's amazing. We talked about this out on the sidewalk. This is a little different show than what it would have been at 7 a.m. because we've actually had time to flesh through some of this. That was an orchestrated assassination of Joe Biden last night. Political FBI, not literal.
Yeah, let's get that.
And it was by the Democrat Party.
Yeah, I know you said that. Several other people were texting me that last night. They think that this was a setup, to get him off the ticket. I think, of course, initially I was like, man, the Democrats aren't smart enough to do that. Just being a Democrat for so long and us, messing up messaging and things like that. But the thing that somebody pointed out to me, I thought was a pretty good point, was that, and you actually said the same thing, the quickness of the media response. And it was starting during the debate too, on Twitter and everything else. And then immediately when the debate was over, the message was clear. Like all facets of the media were like, he needs to go. And it wasn't just like they got there through discussion. It was just immediate responses.
They had their immediate talking points.
But I mean, the other thing that I thought about that too, though, we all watched it, and I consider myself a pretty objective person, and I don't know anybody that watched that could take that away from anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's so hard when you're looking at it. How do you spin it? Would you spin that? I know they tried, but it sounded ridiculous. Like, oh, Trump lied here and Joe made a good point here. I mean, nobody was paying attention to that. This debate had nothing to do with policy. It had to do with delivery. Who looks like they were up to the job. Trump looked 20 years younger than Joe Biden last night. And I mean, that's just, and the whole America saw that.
And kudos to Trump. And kudos to you and I. We predicted this exact.
Yeah.
I said we didn't predict what would happen, but we said for Trump to win, here's what has to happen. For him to come out of this, not being called a bully. And it was you couldn't have lined up a better case scenario. Their little rules last night, and I know I text y'all this, and everybody that I talked to heard me say this. Their little rules last night helped Trump more than they did Biden.
Yeah, I mean, Biden would have better off.
The debate rules,
sure.
And Trump not being able to talk over him, and all that. And man, Chink said it right there. That split cam on Biden, it ended him.
He kept looking down. Did you notice that? He
Yeah.
kept looking down. It was and then when he looked up, his eyes were like a deer caught in the headlights. And it was just strange.
We talked about it during the debate. He doesn't blink.
No.
And when he does, that's when his brain's freezing up. That's when he stutters. and all the other, and loses his train of thought. But other times it's eyes wide open. That ain't normal.
It wasn't normal. And the thing is also his responses were all incoherent. You know, Trump, we made that one line that we both were talking about where he said, I don't know what he just said, and I don't think he does either. And I think all of America kind of felt that because nobody knew what he was trying to say. At one point, he gets asked a question about abortion, and then he somehow turns it into immigration, and then he freezes. And it was just, you know, and I know you don't like Biden at all, but it was what I was seeing. I was like, this is a old man that's being put up here, and it's just disastrous for him, and kind of a horrible situation to end your political career like that.
I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, it is. If I take my personal emotions and feelings out of it, it is a terrible thing to see happen.
Yeah.
And I wonder, are there any polls out?
Not that I've seen yet, but I'll Google it. You know, I mean, and you know, this thing, and we were talking about this outside. This didn't have to happen. The Democratic Party knew, or the people that he was in this shape. They knew that he was in this shape, and what they did was they dismissed everything as like right-wing propaganda and all this kind of, and they've been, you know, running with that narrative. But they knew this. They set him up. I mean, I'm talking about, I don't know if this is necessarily set up, but this was the eventual result that was going to happen with the way we've all seen him behave.
Do you think the State of the Union gave them a false sense of hope?
Yeah, I think it could have. I mean, looking at it, I thought he did a good job at the State of the Union. I didn't think
especially considering what the expectations were.
Yeah.
You know, I did too. Like, he got through it. He made a mistake or two, but you try talking for an hour, you'll make mistakes also.
Sure.
I make them every day.
Right, we do it all the time. Yeah.
So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. And like I said, because one of the other things you and I talked about was the fact that the right has memed him so hard. Mm-hmm. And clipped up videos, right, wrong, or indifferent, and we laid this path out that he's not going to make it through here alive.
Yeah,
Trump's going to body bag him, so to say, as the kids say.
As the kids say.
And that's so. If anything above that is kind of a victory for Biden. And man, it was the worst case. Other than him falling out on stage last night, it was the worst case scenario for him, and it happened 30 seconds in.
Yeah, I think even the right, if you're on the right, they didn't expect it to be quite this bad. I mean, I think they probably hoped it would be that bad. But, like, I don't know that anybody really saw the magnitude of how bad this could have been. I think, you know, I'm a political geek, so I've been watching debates since I was a kid. And I even sometimes, I'll tell you, on the weekends, I'll rewatch old ones, and I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've never seen a debate performance that awful in my entire life. And anybody that says any different, I think, is wrong, unless maybe they were around in the 19th century and you're talking about, you know, one of those debates. But I mean, other than that, I don't know that anybody that's our age in our lifetime has ever seen anything go quite that bad.
And look, there's not a bigger Trump fanboy than me. If y'all could to spin a 360 in the studio right now, everything on the walls is Trump. I mean, I almost feel bad for our guests that don't like Trump when they come into the studio. I mean, I'm as big of a Trump fanboy as there is, period, other than maybe Kim Wade. I mean, Trump's my Lord and Savior. Trump, I didn't think he had a great night last night necessarily, but I guess what I'm trying to say, he didn't have a legendary Trump night. He didn't have to. Mm-mm. I think he came across very presidential.
Yep.
Probably the most presidential, if that's even a thing. You know, I keep hearing that he's not presidential, but he seemed very presidential last night. Very respectful. He did not bully Joe.
No.
Joe was actually the bully.
Yeah, Joe started in with him at one point. I think he kind of figured that he was losing and he needed to maybe goad him a little bit and start it up. No, I thought Trump was, in all the things you've seen Donald Trump, we all have for the last, 10 years or whatever it's almost been now. He was the most measured that he's ever been. You could tell he was listening and working with his folks and, doing the things he was supposed to do. I didn't see really, I mean, the only thing I thought was funny was, the people were like, oh, well, he said all these lies. Well, the only lie I really saw was when he talked about, I didn't have sex with Stormy Daniels. I was like, okay, that's a lie, Trump. But other than that, I thought he performed very well. But bigger than that.
Did that come up last night?
It did. Yeah, it was a statement. Yeah, he said he specifically got on the microphone. I did not have sex with a porn star. That's what he said. And but he the biggest thing was how he looked. He looked youthful and strong, and Joe looked like a feeble old man that was incoherent. And I think that was I think you could barely remember anything either one of them said, but the way it just came across, I think was the biggest thing.
A picture is worth 1,000 words,
mm-hmm.
And I mean, I took a couple screenshots of the screen when it was Joe aimlessly staring at whatever. Shifting gears a little bit, our friend Russ Latino, Magnolia Tribune, he put this out just a few minutes into the debate last night. He said Biden talking about Charlottesville opens up the door for a blistering response on the pro-Palestine protest where people are chanting death to Jews, death to America. Trump thinks in terms of defending himself and misses the opportunity. I think that is the greatest miss last night. Now, he did get to it towards the end of the debate somewhat. But I thought they left a lot of low-hanging fruit for Trump, some just red meat in that pro-Palestine, anti-Israel stuff. I really would have liked to have seen him attack that more so than defend himself.
Yeah, I think if it were a normal debate, I'd agree with Russ and you on that, right? Like should have done that if we were talking about. But I think it was the point where it almost didn't matter as long as he acted calm.
Sure.
And he calm and just said, certain things, talked about the border, talked about inflation. Like I think just the substance of what he was saying was just doesn't really matter about what happened last night. But I think if we're talking about a normal debate, absolutely he should have. That would be the thing to do.
That is an interesting context. Is we keep looking at things. We try to look at things through a normal historical lens.
Yeah,
a historically normal lens, and we are not dealing with historically normal at all.
I think Trump could have just said the entire debate said, "Were you guys better off 4 years ago than you are, or 5 years ago? I'm not going to use 2020 than you are now. Was inflation lower? I cut taxes. I nominated judges." He could just said that the whole debate. I think it would have been fine. Just because this debate didn't turn out not to be about him, it ended up being about Joe Biden, and that started, if everybody noticed, in the first 30 seconds of the debate when Joe got the first question. You could obviously see that he was not there, and I think at that point, the entire focus of the country was on him, and things that Trump said were just kind of irrelevant to the whole debate. I mean, you go walk around town, you ask, you remember what Trump said during the debate? I mean, the only thing I remember is him saying I didn't have sex with Stormy Daniels. Like, I just focused on what Joe was saying or not being able to say that you kind of lost translation. And then, of course, Trump did what he had to do. He didn't attack him. He didn't jump him, And you remember that, but he didn't do that.
Correct. So I was just sitting here, I was curious. There were some drinking games last night. And one of the things where you got to do a shot every time Joe says convicted felon.
Okay.
I don't know how many times, I can't find how many times he said it, but it took 43 minutes for him to get to it.
Oh, did he eventually get to it?
Yeah, according to Twitter here, it took 43 minutes to get to it.
Okay. Right.
Elon had a great, we've already discussed this, but for the sake of good radio, Elon had a great point. He said last night's real victor was the memes.
Oh, yeah, that was so funny.
I mean, it's so true. The real victor was the memes.
I love the one about, I think I sent it to you. It was, Biden's campaign team was tweeting under the Biden account during the debate. And then somebody retweeted, said how are you tweeting during the game?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
I actually stole that and did the same thing when I logged on and saw the next tweet. I was like, what, seriously?
It was, so now I guess what we do is, I think everybody, unless you're crazy or just delusional, I think everybody saw what happened last night. I think, whether what side of the aisle you're on. And even, like I said, CNN, MSNBC was going off about it, the New York Times op-ed today, the Washington Post, all that stuff. So the next step is, what do you do from here? What happens now, since we know what, because if it continues as Biden, if you're the Democrats on the ticket, it's over. It was over last night.
I want to get to that, and I want to get to, I think the real meat on the bone of this conversation is what's next, but I want to play something here.
Sure.
And I missed this last night. CNN may be guilty of, and I didn't even think about this, but CNN may be guilty of feeding Biden all the questions in advance. Here's Aaron Burnett.
Yeah.
In a post panel with Chris Wallace, basically admitting just that. Listen to this.
He goes through 6 days of preparation at Camp David.
More than that.
And they know the rules.
It was more than a week.
Okay, so more than a week. They know the rules. He practices with the mics. He knows every one of these questions is coming.
He knows every one of these questions is coming.
Do you think she meant it that way, or meant it like these were the obvious questions they were going to ask him? Because I think all the questions, I don't think there was any curveballs out there. They were going to ask about the things they're pretty. we could have got up there and known those answers to those questions.
Let's see what else she says.
Yeah.
And yet he couldn't fill the time. Now, I just want to, let's see what the White House is saying. Sources close to the White House are saying he had a cold, wasn't feeling well. As you would expect, that came out early on in the debate. But what accounts for someone with so much experience doing so much preparation and this being the outcome?
Honestly, I think the question answers itself. He wasn't capable of doing any better than he did.
Chris Wallace with some common sense there.
And that's the answer there. He just didn't, I mean, what are they going to ask him? Like, Mr. President, what are your thoughts on your plans to tackle inflation? I mean, I'm sure he knew that question was coming, and he didn't have an answer for it. What is your Mr. President, what is your, the border's been a crisis that we've seen. What is your, response to that? Didn't really have a good answer for that. Abortion, that's like the best question to ask him because Democrats are winning on that. And he turned that into an immigration answer. So, I mean, I think, it didn't matter. I don't know. Like, even if he had the questions, I don't know if it's going to matter.
I'm with you, but it is curious sometimes. Is it a Freudian slip of sorts? I mean, who would be surprised?
I mean, I wouldn't. Considering that obviously the media has created this narrative that he's okay for so long that they've tried to sell us on like, oh no, he's fine. I mean, I guess they're capable of anything.
What is the bigger lie, Shaun? The 2020 election being stolen, or that Biden's mentally capable?
I think they're both lies, but those, in my opinion, they're both lies.
I mean, like the left has been, anytime you mention election theft.
Yeah,
it's the big lie. I mean, they did so well not bringing that up last night. Of course, they did come up there at the end.
Yeah, it was very.
Or is it the big myth that Biden's healthy? Which president was it? Teddy that was in the wheelchair? Roosevelt? FDR. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Now they hid that for years too, right?
They did. Yeah, much easier time to do it, right? With not as much media like access and those kinds of things. But also though, speaking about the election and all that, the Biden narrative has been that we're trying to, save democracy. That's been the whole Biden campaign thing. Well, I mean, no, you weren't, because if you were, you would try to put a candidate that was actually functionable up there. That's been my whole anger with the Democratic Party, like this whole time is, you would put a candidate that actually was, mentally capable to do the job, physically capable to do the job, and they didn't do that. And what they were worried about is their own jobs, and that's just what it boils down to.
Well, let's pivot and discuss that. Mm-hmm. So they are worried about their jobs, and I think there's two fighting factions behind the scenes. And I'm removing the progressive side, the Israel-Palestine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the battle for control of Joe Biden or the Democrat Party. You have his staff and these crazy people who are running the White House and hiring all these trans people and putting them in prominent positions, and you're really just making them look like idiots. There's no other way to say it. I mean, as a Democrat yourself, you may be pro-trans, pro-everything, but there's still a point where there's a line in the sand of ridiculousness and acceptableness.
Yeah,
and I think they're making people look ridiculous. And I think there's the other side of the Democrat Party, kind of your OGs, your Hillary Clintons, your Obamas, even though I think Obama kind of started all this, different rabbit hole for another time. Mm-hmm. Your traditional Democrat side.
Yeah.
That I think still wield a whole lot of power. And I think you saw that side win this little proxy war they're having right now.
That's a good point. Like we talked about, I think Wednesday, I got obsessed with these races with the squad because I hate the squad, because I'm a traditional Democrat, so I don't like them at all.
Yeah.
I think they're ruining the party. Well, Hillary Clinton engineered that Jamal Bowman loss in New York. That was the highest, most money raised or spent, I think, ever in a House primary, and took him out. And he's one of those Palestine, Hamas is great. And they knocked him out with Jewish groups' money too. Got rid of him, and that was Hillary engineered that. And now Cori Bush in Missouri is in pretty big danger, which I hope she goes down as well.
So what's funny about that? I was just pulling that up. I got her post here. The Democrats aren't the squad isn't blaming it on Hillary. They're blaming it on far right super PAC, AIPAC.
Yeah, and that's a Jewish PAC.
Yeah,
but it's not. I mean, they've donated to Republicans, but they donate to Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, so she's not calling it Hillary. So is that who Hillary wanted? Or was Hillary some more money?
No, that's Hillary. Hillary organized with them, they all were in a cabal together to get rid of this Bowman guy. You know what, bro? Mm-hmm. What we're watching here is the Hillary Clinton revenge tour. That's what it was, because remember, Our Revolution, that's the group behind all these, the squad, and Bernie, they're the ones who helped beat Hillary in 2016.
Yeah.
So that's what, this is kind of funny. This is like the revenge of Hillary.
Does it end with Hillary as the nominee?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you think Hillary thinks it does?
Oh yeah, of course. She lusts for power. I mean, we know she had to endure all those years living with Bill, with all the women. Yeah, I think she'd do it if the Democratic Party came to her and said, Hillary, we need you. You're the person we want. I don't think she's gonna be like, nah, I can't do it.
So me and you have had this conversation privately before. Mm-hmm. I hate Hillary Clinton. I think she's a lizard person. But I do respect Hillary's ascent and the work she put in to try to be president.
Yeah.
I mean, like, her and Bill were an arranged marriage.
Pretty much.
I mean, I think most people agree on that. I'm not saying they never loved each other, but they were an arranged political marriage that was mutually beneficial for both parties.
I mean, that's why they stayed together for sure. I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
100%. We don't need to get into the rumors about Chelsea not being Bill's, all that stuff, but they stayed together through it all. She was Senate seat, right?
She won a Senate seat in New York in 2000.
In New York.
Against Rick Lazio. Yeah, I remember that. Nice.
And then she was, what was her position in the Obama White House?
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State. She put in the work. Whether you like her or not, whether elections rigged or not, whatever. She put in the work and the effort to try to be president.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that, for me, it would probably settle well. It would settle more well to see her as the candidate versus them anointing somebody. Like, I think Hillary's got a little fight left in that dog. I don't want it. I don't want her. I'm just saying.
I know what you mean, right? Has she earned it kind of thing to be the nominee?
Yeah, I think maybe so.
I mean, she
she won the popular vote in 16.
Yeah.
And she stayed out there. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Does I just wonder if the party's gonna. I also think you run with her. You still got the age issue because she is 76 right now.
Yeah, but you're going against Trump, who same thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of, and I think they're both cognitively there.
They're energetic late 70s people, right? They're both of them are. You know?
And I'm not caping for Hillary. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if Hillary politics her way into this.
I mean, I don't think you're on a left field on that or anything because I mean, she's a safe choice if you're the Democrats. Like she's done it before. She's got all the background. She's ready to be president. But can she win? I think we saw what happened in 2016. So I don't know. I mean, the world's changed a lot since then too, though. So I don't know. Is there a new Hillary resurgence? Do Democrats look at her differently now than they did then? Possibly. I mean, I would rather them choose somebody younger and the future of the party instead of the past of the party. But
okay, how about this? Nobody has waved the flag for minorities and homosexuals and LGBTQ stuff louder and prouder than the Democrats, right?
Yeah.
Do you realize that the three people that we've talked about this morning are all old white people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gavin Newsom, 40 plus, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Where are the rock star minorities in this party?
Wes Moore, who's I think would be a great candidate.
Who is he?
The governor of Maryland.
Governor of Maryland.
He's a Rhodes Scholar, Afghanistan war vet. He's written already just a ton of books, been a bestseller. He's kind of like an Obama kind of character.
That actually has a provable resume.
He's got a great resume. Like I said again, he's a decorated war veteran. I think he would be a great choice. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think he would fit. He checks all the boxes on that part.
Clay Travis suggested that based on Newsom's unlikability and his track record, that it won't be him, which I don't know why. I keep thinking it's him because it just feels like they keep trying to shove him down our throats is why I think it's him.
I think they're right.
Like he was at the debate there last night, too, as Joe's guest, and they advertised he was going to be there as Joe's guest.
I think it's two things. I think it's because he forces himself because he's a lizard person, Gavin Newsom is, and the right wants him so bad because he represents everything they hate, so they'd love to run against him, So I think it's two things.
Are there any lizard people on the right?
Ted Cruz.
You think Ted Cruz is
100%? Yeah,
I can live with that.
Ted Cruz.
I can. Dan Crenshaw too. I think
Dan
he's a lizard
Crenshaw.
person. Yeah, they're both from Texas. What is it about Texas?
Yeah,
Eye Patch McCain.
Yeah, right.
Oh. And he's a two-faced traitor as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
one-eyed, two-faced, two-faced traitor as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, don't make fun of him because remember, what was it? Pete Davidson got in trouble making fun of him on Saturday Night Live. Had to apologize.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah,
but I think Pete Davidson's thing was he made fun of his war. How he got injured.
Did he? I thought he called him a porn star or something.
Was that what I thought it was? I thought it was something maybe insulting.
I can't remember
his service time or something like that. Maybe because any other time, I can get behind if I have my beef with the military, with the power structure, and it being politicized. But I never have any beef with the soldiers and I'm always grateful for what they do. I think there's a line in the sand, and if I don't care how much I dislike somebody's politics, if they fought for our country and they got hurt fighting for our country, that's off limits.
Yeah.
So if that's what it was, I don't know. But neither here nor there.
I think it was. Was
it?
Eye injury, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
So, all right, Newsom is a lizard person.
100%. He is.
100%. Yeah. So, you're a traditional Democrat. You don't like Newsom. You've been on that bandwagon. So Clay Travis suggested Gretchen Whitmer and Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You like this?
Yeah, I don't. I like it better than all the other options. Sure.
Shapiro, a white Jewish guy.
Yeah, and I like Andy Beshear in Kentucky. That's kind of that would be like my dream candidate. I think because he's kind of fits in your Bill Clinton Southern governor kind of mold, moderate Democrat. He's kind of been a rock star in the party a little bit. He's been able to win in a conservative state. So I think he would be. I think he'd be a great candidate. Now I don't know that he can get the I don't know if they nominate him. I mean, it's not a primary anymore, just at the convention, so I guess it could happen easier now. But
yeah. So what does have to explain to us? What does have to happen to get the next Democrat? Assuming Joe says he's not running, he ain't gonna step down. They're not going to make Kamala the president. I don't foresee that happening. But Joe just decides to, or it's decided for him that he ain't running. What has to happen, like legally within the party, for another candidate to be named?
Well, there's not a mechanism where party leaders can just throw him off the ticket by the party rules, but they have to they'd have to do it what's called like an open nominating process on the convention floor, and he's won about 95% of the 4,000 delegates you need. I think it's so there's also it's called super delegates, and they'd have to commit to someone else. But now, of course, the super delegates are picked by people in the Biden campaign were picked, so that's going to be hard to do. It'd be hard for an open nomination process for him not to get it based on how it's looking now. The best path would be for him to actually step down. That's going to be the most easiest way for that to happen.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. Let's just assume he steps down.
Okay, assume he steps down.
Yeah, assuming he steps down, what next?
Then it'll go to the convention, and they'll the delegates they'll nominate somebody will nominate one of these candidates, and then they'll vote on them, and they'll have a roll call and vote on them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put a minority or a gay in there. I mean, I know that sounds very brazen. I'm being a little kind of blunt force trauma here. But seriously, how can this party, you got the Kamala problem. You're going to have to step over a black woman.
I don't think that's a problem, though. I've been reading a lot of analysis about that. And if you look at the South Carolina results, she lost, which is in the Democratic primary is primarily black, right? Yeah. She lost to Bernie Sanders. Yeah. I mean, I believe it's either Bernie Sanders or Pete Buttigieg, one of the two white guys. Like she polled behind them in votes. So I think Kamala's not that popular with the black community. Like I really don't think that she's got that kind of sway with them that a Michelle Obama would have.
Even after 4 years?
Yeah, I think it's even gotten worse for her after.
I agree. I do. So yeah, maybe that's not a problem. You're right. Of course, I would like to get somebody's black. I'd like to get a black Democrat's input on this. Like, how do y'all feel about it? The Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. Be sure to get out to Mazda Jackson this weekend. Check out the all-new CX-9. Everybody's all up in arms about high interest rates right now. Mazda Jackson has some interest rate some APR specials on select new vehicles. Get by there, check them out. Every vehicle comes with a lifetime limited powertrain warranty at no additional cost, as well as a complimentary, that's free in my hood, 43-inch TV. So get by there, check them out. MazdaofJackson.com, located right there on Interstate 55 at Briarwood Drive. That's Mazda of Jackson. 601-879-0002 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you guys this morning. What do you think the Democrats do next? Trump followed the path that we set out on the show Wednesday and again yesterday. So as a Trump guy, I'm excited. Now I'm just looking at it from a political fan, just a fan of politics. I'm taking my left and right out of it. I'm just wildly interested to see what the Democrats do.
Well, I mean, because if you're a Trump person, you really want Joe to stay in. I mean, because you're going to win this in 1984 landslide, Reagan versus Mondale style. Like, that's what's going to happen. If it's Biden versus Trump, Trump is going to win almost every state except for California, Oregon, Washington, and some Northeast states. Maybe he'll lose. He might even win New York at this point. I don't even know. I mean, it's going to be that kind of a stomp, I think, that you're going to see.
It's going to be fun to watch. Let's take a call on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on there.
Hey, this is Rick.
Hey, brother.
I think I already know what your compadre there is going to think of our conversation yesterday because he's already alluded to it. And just for the sake of repetition, I'm going to tell him what I told you yesterday. If you analyze an upcoming NFL game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, as you make that analysis, you talk about defense, offense, quarterbacks, personal relationships with the quarterbacks and the coaches, et cetera, and the game has already been fixed before they play. The officials have been paid off. Their quarterback's been paid to throw interceptions. The DB's been paid to drop passes. It's done. Guys, they can run a mule for the Democratic position. They've already learned how to steal it once. They're going to steal it again. This time they're going to do it with illegal aliens. And if that doesn't work, they'll do mail-in ballots. If that doesn't work, they're just going to put a bullet in Donald Trump's head. This is all fodder for the radio show for everybody to listen to and talk about and have something to do when the game has already been decided.
Well, I mean, look, I would love to disagree with you, but as yesterday, you're not. I don't think you're wrong. But
I heard your compadre there debunk the idea that it was stolen. Where's he live? Mars?
Yeah, sometimes. So you're saying that Donald Trump would not beat Joe Biden under current circumstances because it's going to be illegal aliens or something?
You could dig up. You could dig up anybody you want. You could bring out Charles Manson and run him. It didn't make any difference. They stole it once. If I rob a bank and I'm walking around for 4 years, cash money in my pocket, and nobody says anything, I'm going to rob another one, man. I'm going to get me some more.
Look, again, I don't disagree with you. Here's my only thing. I'm going to answer this off air because I need to take this other call. Thank you, brother.
All right, buddy.
Here's what I think on that. If that was true, there wouldn't be a push to move Joe Biden out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the powers that be, what would be the best thing in the world, Shaun? To be president or to have control of the president?
I'd rather have control.
Me too.
I mean, 100%. Instead of take the flack, but you have all control. It's kind of like the big donors. It's better to be the donor that runs the politicians than be the politicians. Yeah. And that's another thing we haven't discussed. And I don't think we talked about that outside. The Democratic donor base right now is freaking out. And I've read a lot about that. So how's Joe going to raise any money anymore? I mean, you're not donating to the Biden campaign.
It's a great point. Let's take one more call real quick. Hey, you're on there.
Yeah, man, I was just wondering if it had been brought up yet. Do you think that the Democrats will not continue to just double down on Joe Biden? Will they actually come out and say, hey, you know what? We screwed up. We had it wrong. He's not our guy. We messed up. I don't think they have it in them to admit fault. So I think they're going to keep doubling down on him and then try to get whoever runs as his vice president in there. But I think that's going to be their new goal.
Gotcha. All right. Appreciate you, brother.
That's all I got.
Well, I disagree with that because it happened last night. They did just that. I don't know if you were watching like the left-wing news outlets post debate, but they all turned against Joe immediately. And I don't mean just a little. I mean, they turned the Titanic around in a swimming pool.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It goes back to the stolen stuff. Why would they have done that then? Why would they have set this up?
Yeah. Okay, y'all got to keep in mind, the Democrats called and offered this debate to Trump.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because they thought Biden needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Biden did not need this. Nobody in their right mind really thought Biden needed this debate. Trump, that's why Trump agreed to the ridiculous terms. Because he was like, I can't believe they're doing this. Of course I'll do it.
Yeah.
And they walked Joe into an execution last night.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, I mean, obviously they were concerned that he was going to lose to Donald Trump. That's why they wouldn't have done this.
Yep.
I mean, they're concerned. And now, if he's on the ticket, I will say he's going to lose. He's going to lose. That's just, wait till we see what the polling numbers are in a few days. It's going to be horrendous.
All right, so me and you were talking outside. Shaun and I sat on the sidewalk for 2 hours waiting on the power to come back on this morning. Again, I want to thank Chris Davis for us hijacking his show today. But really, really do appreciate it. I didn't want to wait till Monday to get this off my chest. Shaun, one of the things we talked about outside was the Democrats. They fight. They play to win. I mean, Republicans don't. Generally speaking, we don't play to win. We try to be the brakes to the Democrats' gas. Let's just slow them down a little bit. Just slow them down. Democrats play to win, and I've always respected that about them. Kim Wade said this one time. They go for generational change when they have power. Mm-hmm. Republicans just try to slow them down when we have power. So I guess I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here after I say that. What do you think? Do you see a deal where the Democrats just say, screw it, we'll roll with it. If Trump wins, and we energize our base for 4 years, and we come back and just deal with the Trump presidency for 4 years and whatever after that?
I know, yeah, we were talking about this outside. That would be a really smart, long-term strategic thinking if you're in the Democratic Party, like saying, look, we've already just destroyed this election. We look like idiots. Because even now, say you replace him with, Gretchen Whitmer, whoever, the Republicans get to come back and say, "Oh, look, they were trying to sell you on their other candidate who couldn't make it, and they lied to you about that. What are they lying to you about this one?" So, I mean, you still run the risk that Trump's going to win, right? I mean, you're not in a good position,
and you hurt a potential star's future by sending them out there and
that's a good point.
Getting them beat.
Great point. You hurt somebody that, yeah. I mean, and so do you just let it ride and let Trump win 4 years, and you raise a lot of money, you fire up your base, your media outlets are making tons of money because he's good for business. I mean, you could do that, and then you win the presidency in 4 years.
It's interesting because we will see how much stealing they're capable of doing.
It could be a whole lot this time.
I mean, it will be interesting to see that happen. I mean, what's the old saying, Shaun? Occam's razor.
Yeah.
The most likely outcome is usually the outcome.
Right.
I think the most likely outcome, if we're not fantasy booking this thing, is that Joe doesn't step down.
I think you're right about that. I mean, everything I've been reading this morning, it just seems like he's not going to do it. I know it's so bad, and because I mean, this'll, how these 24-hour news cycles we live in. So a week from now, it's going to be 4th of July, and everybody's going to be drinking and barbecuing, and people talk about the debate. Then we go a couple weeks in the summer, and I mean, Republicans will run ads about this, and then Joe will counter with something, and blah blah blah. And I mean, you're right. I mean, that's the most simple way to play this out. And then he's on the ticket, and then he gets slaughtered in November. I mean, that's just maybe that's their plan. They can just let him ride all the way to November, and because I don't see, like, first of all, he's not going to have enough money to run all the way to November at this point. Like I've already read this whole thing about the donor class. All was like, okay, we're backing out now, we're done. So how does he raise any money? I mean,
and look, there is that. And I guess all this money is to run ads in swing states, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't see none of that stuff here.
6% of the voters elect the president of the United States. I read that stat the other day. I mean, 6% of the voters.
Let's take a call real quick on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. Hey, you're on there.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
You're on there.
Oh, yeah. Democrats, they set up Joe Biden last night.
100%.
Set him up, and the media told you. As soon as the debate was over, they all clicked on him. They all turned on him.
It was immediate. I've never seen nothing like it. It was coordinated, and they all had the same talking points.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no way that Joe Biden's going to be on the ballot in November. I mean, you have all the bigwigs in the Democratic Party that they just totally clicked on him, and he's done. And to go back to the talking about the election rigged and it's stolen, I think there's a foul play there, but they're going to have to get somebody in there. Somebody else in there that can kind of tighten up the race, because it's harder to steal, let's say 80%. It's harder to steal an election when the other guy's winning 80% than it is, 55 or 50%.
Yeah, you can only steal so much. I mean, you just got to, even with the Biden, Trump. Hey, I'm gonna finish this off air. Thank you for the call, brother. Not off air, not on the phone. Even if it's got to be close to steal. You know what I'm saying, Shaun?
Yeah,
right. Because you have to strategically steal swing counties.
I mean, you couldn't steal like the 1984 election when Reagan just wiped the floor with Walter Mondale.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think he won, 48 states or something like that.
Yeah, and look, man, like that. The thing about the whole stolen stuff, Shaun doesn't believe it happened. I do. But it's just one of the things that we can argue about all day. It doesn't get us anywhere. That's why we don't talk about it much. But from a realistic standpoint, I don't think they can't steal it enough for Joe to win.
You'd have to do a lot of stealing this time. I think because and that kind of goes because
you're going to have to steal states that you're going to have to flip red states, and they did with Georgia last time. But
I'll give you a good example. I'll say this on here because I told you this outside. Even somebody like me who's always said I never vote for Donald Trump, right? After last night, there's no way you can responsibly vote for Joe Biden. I would vote for Trump if he were I just would. I mean, it's not a responsible vote at this point to vote for Biden. He is obviously mentally incapacitated. He's too old to do the job, and other people are running it, and that's just where it is. I mean, and I think a lot of people that were in the middle saw that and probably feel that way. They're like, okay, well, I was gonna, thinking I could he'd be okay, but they saw that and they're like, man, he can't be president anymore. I mean, shoot, he might not even qualify for like a part-time assisted living place now. It might have to be like one of those full-time facilities. It's that bad.
Here's a clip talking about the Democrats knowingly perpetrated a fraud on the American people, and they will pay the price in November. And I do believe that's the end result here.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
This guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
His mental acuity is great.
This is a bunch of people talking about Joe. Sorry, I'm not going to play any more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just comical, but we don't have but a few minutes left. I don't want to waste it on sarcasm. Let's see here. I'm kind of going through some headlines and some clips and stuff here, so y'all kind of bear with us a second here. CNN, crooked Joe Biden has no plans. Okay, this one should be good for us. Mm-hmm. This is basically Joe saying he has no plans on dropping out. This is from CNN.
There are no plans, I'm told, for the president to drop out of the race. And even further, I'm told that the president is still committed to a second debate in September, which is currently scheduled for September 10th and hosted by ABC News, much along the lines of the rules of the debate that was hosted last night. Now, the advisor that I spoke with said that they're not putting too much stock in the conversation last night, and that many of the staffers on the campaign and in the White House also worked on President Obama's reelection in 2012, and they tried to draw the parallel to that first debate that was a very low performance for President Obama. Even he would call it a stinker. And they said if you had believed the pundits in the wake of that debate, Mitt Romney would have been president after that. But of course, the big difference is in the wake of that debate, no one in Obama's own party was calling for him to resign the office of president. And that is.
What do you think about that, Shaun? First off, you're a debate historian.
Sure, I can tell you all about that debate.
What was Obama's performance anything comparatively disastrous as Joe Biden's?
Absolutely not. He was bad though. In that first 2012 debate, it was very bad. And kind of the argument if the incumbent presidents, whether they be Republican or Democrat, have a hard time with the first debate because they're busy doing the job of president. I mean, even Trump had a bad first debate when he was president. Obama did, running for re-election. So that's a very common thing to have.
And Joe did today or yesterday.
Well, Joe's was something else.
Yeah,
it was like those are just like they're busy being president. Joe couldn't form a thought or answer a question. So no, I mean he wishes he had as good a debate as Obama did in 2012. Like that's not a comparison at all.
So this is the first time we've heard this, or it's been brought up since we've been together at 7 a.m. this morning. The White House is saying that Joe is up for debate number 2 in September. However fictitious that is, his team is that's the narrative they're spitting out. You and I talked about this outside. Why would Trump debate him again?
I wouldn't. Why? Why do you need to?
I
mean, and if I were Trump, what I would say is, look, the Democrats want to commit elder abuse on national TV. That's their right, but doesn't mean I got to engage in it. I respect the presidency enough not to debate. That's what you should say.
I as much as I hate Biden, and of course I would watch it and I would mock and meme and make fun of it, I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
There's not a need for it. Joe's not going to become more cognitively inclined between now and then.
I mean, it's like going to see the Harlem Globetrotters play that team, the Washington Generals. I mean, you already know what's going to happen. I mean, the Globetrotters are going to kill them, and I mean, the result's done. It's not like, oh my God, I wonder what's going to happen. And we don't have to wonder anymore if Joe Biden is going to be cognizant, because we already see that he can't be. I mean, I don't think he's going to get younger between now and September.
Yeah, and I don't think it hurts Trump to just say no. It's because he's not saying it because he's scared to debate. I mean, Trump went into the lion's den with all these rules created to hurt him, which ended up helping him. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the things you don't do that speak louder than the things you do. Yeah. And I thought Trump was the textbook definition of that last night.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said many times, it was the best I've ever seen him. I think Donald Trump's actually a very good. I know people, would in the 2020 debates, I don't think he did very well, but in 2016 he did really well, especially in the Republican primary debates. Those things are legendary. I think they're the reason he got the nomination, quite frankly. But so he's an entertainer, and he's good at that kind of stuff. So he had to kind of go against his normal instincts, I think, in this one, which was very, whoever came up with the strategy of not to attack Joe worked out really well last night, and to his favor, obviously, because Joe just destroyed himself.
Lane texted in on the Guns and Gear text line and says Dr. Jill Biden talking to him like a toddler after the debate was crazy. Did you see? I'm not going to look it up now, but did you see that Jill and them had a post-debate rally in Atlanta last night?
I saw bits and pieces of it. And
Joe kind of got on stage, and all they just were chanting, Trump's a lie, or something to that extent. And he just looked lost up there, man. Like, the optics are just really bad on this thing.
Yeah, I saw that. It was not good. I mean, but he did look better on the stage than he did at the debate. That's the one thing I did notice. I was like, he does look a little better here.
Bro, like I said, that split screen did that dude no favors last night. I can't believe that CNN did it, which more makes me think that this was all 100% calculated.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that, the quickness of the media narrative. That actually started on Twitter during the debate. But in the end, I go back and forth, Clay, about that, because I can see them doing that, and it makes sense. But also, like, any person that watched that debate, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, nobody's sitting there saying this. Everybody felt bad, or this is a horrible job. Like, I mean, nobody was like, man, Joe Biden really got him there. Like, no one said that. And if you did, you're lying to yourself.
Well, it's like the narrative they tried to push over the last couple of weeks about this cheap fakes stuff, telling us don't believe our lying eyes.
About Obama leading him off the stage and all that stuff.
Yeah, and just him wandering off, him either at minimum having a brain freeze and missing his chair over in Normandy, or at worst pooping his pants on stage, whichever one it was.
Yeah,
and it's all cheap. It's edited. It's cheap fakes. Man, he's in bad shape, and he does not need to be president. For the sake of our country, at minimum, can we get somebody up there in case the Democrats do win that can make a decision for themselves? That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I don't think if he stays on the ticket, I think the election's kind of it's written in stone at this point.
What's up, guys? Hey, come on in. We got Jameson here in the studio. Jameson, we got to do just a hard pass off on this thing because of the system. It's not going to go to a break. So, look, guys, this has been the Clay Edwards Show with Shaun Yurtkuran. We got to do this 1 hour, no commercials. Coming up next, just right after the top of the hour news, there will not be any commercials in the first break, if my memory serves me correct. You got Jameson Haygood for 2 hours. If you're looking for somewhere to eat today, Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, go check out the Plate Lunch. We'll see you.